What's up, Thomas?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm all good. It's probably just as hot as your place right now.
Yeah, it's like today forecast is for 35 degrees, and it's been like this for the past days. And yeah, I'm happy to be here in my chilled studio, like
Yeah,
21 degrees. That's really nice. If you step out, it's like a wall of heat,
yeah. I was thinking about buying an air conditioning for like years, and now I was like, okay, now I'm done with this. It keeps coming back more and more each year, like longer periods of hot weather.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm done. Let's get one.
I mean, we're really lucky here with the house
Hmm.
because I'm downstairs now on the ground floor, and it keeps like this temperature all throughout the year. Even in winter, it's not
Oh,
getting super cold, so I don't need an air conditioner at all. I can even I just need to keep the windows closed, or I can open them for 5 minutes to get
mm,
some fresh air in. But actually, the room and the space is big enough to have circulation by itself, and the temperature is really nice, especially in summer. I love to be down here and not
yeah.
upstairs and where the heat is like hitting you.
And is that in the basement or first floor?
That's the basement, yeah.
Basement. Ah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
But
that's
we have
nice.
windows here. We have windows all throughout the rooms. It's a big office space,
Mm.
and it's yeah, it's really cool to have this space here.
Yeah, I can imagine. Did you always had your studio at home or?
Yeah, but I used to have smaller homes in the past. I mean, I started as a bedroom producer. Typically, it was my bedroom when I was 15, 16, when I started making music, and then even when I went to college and university, I had this like small flat, and I had most of the studio gear in my second room maybe, or like super tiny places.
Yeah.
And then I started to have an office space, like I would say like 10, 15 years ago. So I rented some space, some
Hmm.
rooms where we got together with a bunch of friends, and we ran this place together. And now I'm in my own place here, and I built my studio for myself. And yeah, that's I think it's gonna stay like this for the future.
I can imagine. And like when you decided to go like out of your home with your studio, was that like a conscious decision because maybe you were tired of sitting at home all day or?
Yeah, I mean, I remember it was while I was living in Düsseldorf, like years ago,
Hmm.
and I was actually working for a company as a freelance producer. So
Yeah.
I went to I got there by car, like 20 minutes drive every day, and I felt like okay, when you are there, you are full on work, 100%.
Yeah.
You don't do anything else. You're not getting distracted, and when you get home, um, you are home. It's like
Yeah.
a kind of like a good separation of both. So this is the advantage if you have a studio which is not located in your house, in your place. But the thing is, if you get like inspiration at late night and you want to just like lay down an idea or do something which you have in your head going around, and shit, man, I would love to put this idea down or maybe work on this track because finally I got this idea for a melody. And it happened that I went to the studio at night, like, and had night sessions there. Many of these guys who were working there did that at that
Yeah.
time. So it was kind of common. I remember one of the guys. He went to the studio at midnight, and because he spent all day his private life in his home or with his friends or girlfriend or whatever, and then he went to the studio between 11 and midnight, and then he spent 6, 7 hours. Went back home at 7 in the morning. But he told me he got a lot of stuff done because no one would call him. There
Yeah.
would no emails pop up suddenly, so you were totally focused on the work. And that's the good thing if you have a separate space. But also, on the other hand, if I have my space right next to me, as I said, I can easily switch between yeah, private life and stuff. I have running errands, for example, going to
Yeah.
the doctors, which is around the corner here, or see a dentist, and then get back to the studio and then run errands again in the afternoon. And this is like right now I'm used to it and I like it as it is. And the good thing is the spaces are separated. So my
Yeah.
studios are down in the basement downstairs, and nothing's upstairs. And I only might take my laptop, which I do, of course, upstairs where I actually live with my family. And so we try to separate it as much as possible. Sometimes it is not possible, which is actually kind of helpful at some point. And yeah, so I got used to the situation, and I only can say that how it is right now is cool. But I must admit, I've been thinking about having a separate space somewhere else where I could just like go and see other people, like a couple of studios, you know, like when you especially when you work with many people, or like let's say a group of people, 4, 5, 6. I wouldn't have them in my home, in my house. Actually, it should be separated. Otherwise, it mixes up too much. And but it's not the situation right now. I have singers coming in. I have my partner from my company coming in sometimes, and sometimes producers join me. So this is not like a lot of people hanging around here. And so I can keep this my space as much as possible, and I'm actually happy with it.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think it's also a constant balance thing, you know. Once your life changes, you're looking for a different balance with your working environment. When you're young, you're more willing to work like the whole night.
Absolutely.
Once you get kids, you're like, let me skip that night shift, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, since I got my family, you know, my kids and stuff, I obviously wanted to have this kind of normal life from, let's say, 8 to 6 or 8 to 7, which I'm having right now. So I don't do night work too much, only if there's something super urgent, if I have a deadline which I cannot miss, or if I have to, when I used to fly out for shows, then I had to catch up with time. But right now I'm trying to keep it a like normal lifestyle, you know, getting up with the family, with the kids, my wife in the morning, and then heading downstairs to work, and then getting back upstairs in the evening. And it works pretty well right now.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like quietness, like having a set of a rhythm in your life, because as an artist it's pretty easy to get lost in a rhythm, as in sometimes you're awake at night, sometimes you're awake in the morning. Super fucked up.
Absolutely. I learned that a lot within my career, that having a structured life is really important, especially in this kind of business, because you are not bound to any office hours. And as you said, when I was younger, I didn't care about any time of the day. I went to the studio. I remember when I was in Düsseldorf, I went to the studio at 11 in the morning. I stayed there until 11 at night. And then I went back home. I maybe watched TV a little bit until 1 or 2. I got to bed at 2:30. And then the next day, that's the problem. Once you have these night shifts, you lose the next day. So you have to actually either keep on going with the night shifts, get you a proper sleep, because that's also learning. If you don't get enough sleep, you won't be creative anymore. You lose a lot of energy. You're not being motivated anymore, and then it kind of sucks at some point. So you either keep the night shift life, or you have to switch between night shift and day shift from time to time. And I found that it was really important to me to have a structure. It's either the night shifts or the day shifts. And I especially when you are traveling a lot, so you are forced to leave your home at a certain point because you have to catch a flight. You will get back at a certain time. Let's say I leave at Friday morning. I have to leave at 8 in the morning because I have to catch a flight to go to America, to China, whatever. And then you get back on Sunday night or Monday morning. So you have to make sure that you get proper sleep the days before, you know, so that you aren't totally wasted when you already step into the plane, and then you have a long time flight. And then I remember when I was going to Las Vegas, it's a 12-hour flight with connection. So actually I was traveling for 15, 16 hours, and then I got there at 8 p.m. on Friday night. I had to play at 12 at midnight. And I was kind of tired, so I had to make sure that at least I got some sleep the days before. And I only could achieve this with structuring, you know, really like, okay, I have to force myself. I get up at a certain time of the day, let's say at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, or I'll be in the studio at 10. I do my work, and then maybe I have to do some other stuff, which I have like shopping, groceries, you know, the typical stuff you do in your life, and you have to take care of other things. And then you go to bed at a normal time, let's say at midnight or 1, and then you get your proper 6-7 hours sleep, which is my personal minimum. then I could do that. But otherwise, I would really be super tired when I remember that I had these times when I went there to Las Vegas. I was super tired. I barely made it to the club. I played my show, and then I just was happy to be in bed. And then you can't sleep because it's a time difference,
Yeah, exactly.
9 hours. So it all plays together.
Yeah.
And I think as a producer or a DJ, if you're traveling and producing at the same time, you have to find your own balance and structure. And it took me a couple of years because there's so many things you want to do, and
Yeah.
there's also so many things you have to do, and you have to just put yourself into that position. Okay, what can I achieve, and how can I achieve, or how do I want to achieve this? And then you want to stay healthy, and that's I mean, something you have really to keep in mind. I mean, you can go on partying and flying around through the world, and then being a workaholic, but at some time it happened to a lot of producers. You can hear and read and listen to that. There's so many stories where people got burnouts with 22, and I mean, this is your special thing.
Yep.
And I'm not telling you any news, but I had to learn it for myself. And
when did you learn it? Around which age were you were waking up and like, well, I really need to change something? Because
I mean, I really started traveling a lot when I was 30. So before that, I went to university. I had a proper job for 3-4 years, and then I totally started working like 24/7 as a producer and DJ. Before that, it was more a hobby, and I was traveling a bit. But then I got my management, I got my travel agencies, and they sent me around the world. So I would say between 30 and 35, 36.
Okay.
That was the time where I was like, okay. You cannot do everything everything together at one time. You have to structure it, yeah. And if you want to stay healthy, and I was like, okay, I want to be healthy when I'm 50. I don't want to be like totally worn out. I don't want to look like a 70-year-old guy when I'm 45. And so it's all about a little bit of self-control. It's about
discipline.
I'm not doing drugs, for example. I drink alcohol. I like alcohol, but for me, it's more a social thing. So I like to drink when I'm with friends, when I'm hanging out with people I like, when it's the vibe. So, and you have to be careful. Of course, there's so many things that can happen during within your musical career, like industry, and it's nightlife. This is the time where people party. This is the time where people just freak out, and you're in the middle of it a lot of time. And everything is easy to get. People offer you anything, so you have to be resistant. You have to control yourself. You have to force yourself. Okay, if I want to keep my healthy lifestyle, and if I want to get through the next 30 years of my career and be healthy at the end. You have to make decisions, and think about yourself. And I'm self-reflecting a lot, I'm thinking about me. I'm thinking about the people who surround me. I'm, of course, if I hear stories of people who are having health problems, not only in the music business but also in other industries, I take that into consideration, and I reflect about what happened, why did it happen, what can I do to prevent this from happening to me. And that's also why I started working out more than I used to. When I was 20, I didn't work out a lot. I just went to the gym maybe every 10 days or so. It was more like
10 days.
I wasn't interested. But then at a certain point, I read a lot about workouts, exercising and stuff, and how it actually has a positive benefit on your health. It's not about just only good looking and having muscles. It's more about your vascularity is improving. The whole circulation of your blood is getting better. Then your well-being is better. Your overall health is being better. And I chose working out and going to the gym because I really liked it. I tried it out a little bit, and I found that this is my thing. So other people might do a lot of tennis, and other people might do biking, cycling, so or whatever. But for me, that was a kind of a thing I could do when I was traveling, because in the hotels,
with the hotel fitness.
Yeah, exactly. And so I put into my contract a point where it says the hotel has to be equipped with a gym 24 hours. So even if I land at night at 9 or 10, I go to the gym I can, if I want to, go to the gym at 10 or 11, which I sometimes do, because it really helps getting over jet lag. And yeah, and so this was a part of my personal health plan, like
Yeah.
self-control, structuring my life, exercising, and then eating healthy as well. And within like 5-6 years, I learned these kind of like this kind of like lifestyle,
Yeah.
and
And is that something you've done by yourself, or did you had any help with it?
I did it all by myself. I read
Okay.
a lot, Sometimes if I like something, it's the same with music software or plugins or whatever. If I really like something, I get into it a lot. I read a lot about it. I watch tutorials. I talk to people. I buy magazines, and so when I started working out, I got into the theory of nutrition a little bit. I'm not a super doctor now, but I know the basics. I know how they
Yeah.
influence your wellness, your body, and what you can do. For example, if you travel a lot, what helps your body like keep going? How can your system? How can you make it going well, even if you change time zones? If I
Mhm.
fly to Asia, for example, what can I do when I get there? How would my workout influence my well-being? And it really worked out. So I found my personal kind of like
Yeah.
plan for that.
Okay.
And I did it by myself, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, because I think it's really hard for people to do it by themselves because they, especially in the beginning, you don't really see the value of it. You think like, why should I start doing it? You don't know, you don't really understand why or how it works, and it takes a lot of discipline, I can imagine, to do it by yourself. If there's no one telling you to do it, or if there's no one that you're accountable to, you're the only one that you're accountable to. So it takes a lot of discipline, I can imagine, to do it. Not just the mental part, but also the physical part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the older you get, the more discipline you can have. And for me, I was at that point when I had played all festivals, like Ultra. I was at Coachella. I was at Tomorrowland. So I had all these things on my bucket list were done, and I
Hmm.
was thinking, okay, what's the future? How do you want to live for the next couple of years? You want to go on with this? And I wanted to go on. So I was like, I achieved a lot, and I don't want to be like struggling with myself or fighting to get even more out of it. I want to be happy. I want to be, what is the goal of my life? And I told myself, or I knew that I wanted to be satisfied, I wanted to be happy, and I wanted to be healthy. And I know a lot of people are having a big success, but they're not happy at the end. I
Hmm.
mean, one of the worst examples is Tim Avicii.
Yeah.
What happened to him? He had so much success, but still he was not satisfied. He wasn't happy. Something was not right. And there are more examples of this, not only in the
Mhm.
music business, but also in actors,
It's
and
everywhere. Yeah.
especially in the show business, where you're exposed to people a lot, where you have a lot of like people cheering to you. They give you 5-star hotels, they give you food, they give you drinks, and they pamper you.
How
And
do you
it's
how do you deal with that? Because I noticed it, like I talk to a lot of aspiring artists, but I also talk to a lot of bigger artists, and dealing with other people, like the opinions that you get from them about the music or the pampering that you're talking about, like how do you deal with that as a person?
I mean, the pampering, of course, if you're young and you're not used to it, if you're a 20-year-old or 25-year-old and coming from school, or you have like worked in a job, and then you get suddenly people pay that you fly to Asia, that you fly to America, they give you super good hotels, they pay you really nice dinner, and whatever you can order whatever you want, which you normally maybe would not do, and you would not go to these kind of restaurants,
Yeah.
and then you come to the club, and there's champagne, and there's all the stuff you put on the list, for you. And this can be very tempting, of course. In the beginning, you might dive into it, and of course I really enjoyed this kind of lifestyle. But as I said, at a certain point, I started thinking, and of course, I was influenced by the stories from other people who really got into trouble and had problems with alcohol, with drug abuse, with stress, with anxiety,
Hmm.
and I mean, I had my I was lucky to get into the whole music scene very slowly. So I grew into it organically. It took
Yeah.
like, when I started, I was traveling, I was like 22, 23. I started doing small gigs for small fees. I
How
started with
long is that ago? How old are you now?
I'm 49 now.
49. So that's 17 years?
Even longer. I mean, I started playing as a DJ when I studied. That was like 25 years ago, like whatever. Yeah.
Holy shit! Yeah,
And I
that's
got like I played in a bar, in a cafe, and I got 120 euros for 3 or 4 hours of playing. So
Yeah.
not a lot of money, and I got free drinks, and that was it. And it was not like that. People were like partying for me, you know. They were coming for the music. They were enjoying themselves. And then I used to play smaller clubs, and it was not at that time. It wasn't not like that. Everybody was looking at you when you were the DJ.
Yeah.
You had to entertain the people, and they wouldn't be like, yeah, and standing in front of you and clapping their hands. They would just.
You were that weird guy pushed away in the corner where no one really saw you. Yeah.
So that's how I started, and that's how I got into it, and I got used to. And then the clubs got bigger. Then I got to the States, and I was invited to Canada and all over Europe, and I played Ibiza, you know, all the big shows and festivals. And then I got into this business very slowly. So I've seen let's say the simple side of it, or the smaller stuff. So I really knew, okay, where I'm coming from it doesn't happen supernaturally. It just came from my work. I worked as a producer for a long time until I got my first big shows, until at first a big agency picked me. So it took a while.
How long did it take you to get those first shows, to the big shows? Well, let's say the first shows where, because you mentioned your first gigs, nobody came for you. They just came for the music.
Yeah.
But when did the first shows start to come in where people actually came to see you?
It must have been around like 28, 29 when I had my first releases, and I got booked to smaller clubs, maybe in England, you know, like undergroundy clubs.
Yeah.
And the Thomas Gold name just started, like, and I worked under different names at that time as well.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And then people booked me in smaller clubs, and these people would know who I am. But being like booked as a big headliner, that started. I think it really started all when I went on Size and X-Tone, and when I did my Set Fire to the Rain remix for Adele at that time. That was when I had my breakthrough in America, and I got my agencies in America, and I got my agency in the UK, and then they booked me to Lavo, New York for the first time, and.
So is that 2010 or something? 11?
I have to look it up. I don't even remember that.
but like from the moment you started until that moment, it's probably like 15 years or something.
Yeah, definitely. And I used to play a lot, for example, with Axwell. You know, they booked me with Axwell, or Axwell had me as a support act. So that's how people got to know me. And I remember the New York crowd. I didn't get booked as Thomas Gold as a headliner in the beginning. The first show where people really recognized me and my name was when I played with Steve Angelo at Governor's Island. I was his direct support, so I played right before him, and the crowd was already there. And that was the point where my agent in New York, he told me, after that show, you got booked for your name, you know? Okay. So I had these kind of like big DJs taking me under their wing, like Steve and Axwell, especially at the beginning in Swedish House Mafia. And because I was in the same agency as they were, so that all played together with Amy Thompson, you know, at that time.
Is that how you got in contact with them as well? Because you were signed at the same agency?
No, actually, I got contacted by X-Tone during ADE. I spoke to the guys to Simon from X-Tone. Mm-hmm. We had a brief meeting, and he was interested in me doing a remix for them. And then I played him "Sing to Me." I remember that over the headphones.
Yeah, me too.
room at the ADE at the what's the hotel? What's the place where everybody meets?
Odeon?
No, the old school place.
Yeah, I know which one you mean.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I remember standing there, and I played it to him, and he had like one piece of the ear plugs in his ear, and I played "Sing to Me" to him. And I said, like, I'm working on this track, and he was like, oh, I like it. I played to Axwell, and then they got back to me. Yeah, Ax loves it, and let's work on it. Let's do it. And that was the time when their agency approached me and said, hey, if you work with X-Tone, do you want to join our agency as well? We can book you, we can help you. And that was really important. I think that's one of the most important things for a DJ career. Even now, because starting your career by yourself is almost impossible, like being booked.
Mm.
I get this question a lot. So and at that point, it happened to me. I got support from big names like these guys and the Swedish guys, and they took me on tour. They put me on their support list. So I got a lot of attention, and then promoters started booking me by myself. And this helped a lot, especially within the first 1, 2, 3 years. And then I didn't play too much with Swedish House Mafia anymore. And then they spread up. But I still got gigs with Steve. I played Size Matters a bunch of times. But that was actually when I really got into that international booking business. And then that's where I got used to like having nice hotels, nice cars, being picked up from the airport in a nice SUV, the Black Wall of America, like you see in a
we all know.
But it was good for me, but I never lost like contact, like I had always had my feet on the ground.
I think that's one of the big. Yeah, sorry.
I just wanted to say that I always knew where I would come from, and I always appreciated this kind of life.
I think that's one of your biggest luck, as in looking back in hindsight, like the fact that you were older once you became really successful. I've been thinking about that as well, because I personally believe I got way too much attention at a way too early age, because I simply didn't even know who I was as a person, but I already got in environments where the champagne was and the cars and all the big hotels and stuff, and I just didn't know how to deal with those things. But right now I'm 31, which is kind of the age you probably were when you broke through. If I would do it now, I think it would be easier for me because I'm older, because I know more about myself, about the world, about how to manage things with my own life. And I think that really is kind of beneficial, and I think that really helped you as well, to what's the right word, like to deal with the whole thing.
Absolutely. I mean, as you said, when you're young, you haven't found your position in your life. Even if you think you have. 20 now. I'm grown up. I know what I want to do in my life.
I'm 21. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like that at all. And especially guys. I mean, girls get a little bit mature earlier, but for guys, it takes a while. It takes until you're 30. That's science. That's proper science. That the brain still evolves in that time. And if you are, as you said, like, I know your story. We talked about it, and if you are confronted with this kind of life and you lose contact to the normal kind of life, if you keep traveling, you lose your normal life because you don't have your friends around you. Nobody tells you, hey, this is bullshit you're saying, or this is not true, or you cannot do this. People around you now are promoters, and they always tell you the best because they never want to harm you. They want you to keep you in a good vibe. They would never talk to you bad stuff. And you have managers or a manager who always kind of like fights for you, and they always push you to do the next bigger thing, and they tell you what you can do. But also, I think that's also a problem of management. Sometimes managers, they should tell you the truth. If something isn't right, or you're doing some stuff not good, they should tell you that. I mean, promoters, of course, you cannot expect it from them because they pay for you. They want you to perform, and that's the job thing. But a manager should also be a little bit responsible for the artist's well-being, not only on stage or at the hotel, but also for the rest of his life. As you said, like, you lose the focus, or you lose the connection to things very easily at that age. And once you're grown up, once you're 30, 35, you have a lot more experience. You know what? Yeah. You know more about risks, you know about yourself, you have experiences, stories of other people, and you take them into consideration. When you're 20, you just want to move forward. I was the same, of course. I saw what can I do, what do I want to do, and then you don't reflect a lot about yourself. But
no, not really. I mean, you have all the time in the world, so you don't have anything to deal with. You have no kids, you have no house. You're just like, you sleep on the couch in your studio.
I mean, you can actually do what you want, but that's the problem, which happens a lot with also young actors at 15 or 16 when they got super successful. And you see what happens to actors when they are 30, 35. They go crazy. It's really a big point in this in the show business, and I would consider the DJ business as a part of the show business, where you're exposed to a lot of people, and these people come to see you, they want to party with you for 2 hours for the time you are on stage, and then you always have the impression that everybody loves you, and especially promoters, they want to give you that feeling that, oh, everybody loves you, you are the star of the night, you know, and you can easily forget about the reality in this kind of like bubble you live in.
You can get addicted to it in some sort of way.
Yeah. And
so,
but it also
no, just tell.
But also there's this the stress thing, you know. Obviously, traveling and playing at night and being exposed to loud music and a lot of people around you means stress for you, for your brain and your body, and you might not recognize it at that point when you're younger because you don't think too much about it. You just fall into your bed, you crash, and then the next day you get up and you're fit again, and you do the same thing over and over. But you don't really, you just push away the stress. Maybe by drinking, maybe by just hanging around with all these people at a beach bar in the afternoon, and not thinking about problems or stress. You just push it away. But at some point, it just hits you at once, and then you get these anxiety problems, or you get into addictions, whatever. Just you start drinking just to get rid of the stress, you know.
Yeah, it's escaping. It's 100% escaping from all your problems.
Yeah, and this is where it's already a little bit too late, you know, when you reach that point. But it's hard to think about it when you're young, and of course it's an exciting life, and it's an exciting part of your life, and you want to just enjoy it and dive into it. But that's what I said. As a manager, you have to keep an eye on your artists. Yeah. And I think nowadays people are a little bit, I wouldn't say a lot, but a little bit more aware of that situation. Yeah. Like 5 years ago, like 10 years ago. I mean, 20 years ago, people didn't care about that at all. It was, I've seen DJs doing things, it's crazy. I don't want to even mention that. But nowadays, people are more aware of like healthiness, like self-control and discipline a little bit. Yeah,
I've noticed it as well. As in, I've started doing artist coaching since 4 years now, and in the beginning, I really had to explain everyone what the hell I was doing, how did it all work, blah blah blah. And now I just noticed that people are more like informed about like what's the whole deal around coaching and what the value of it is and why it's there. Because to me as a person, 21 years old, 25 years old, I could have used someone next to me that asked me a lot of difficult questions to get me thinking about things that I wasn't thinking about, because I just wanted to go.
Yeah.
And kind of slow down every now and then and just take the time to reflect, as you mentioned, because that's something I never did.
But do you think, I mean, just a question, the people you are working with, are these people open for like, consulting? Like, are they willing to accept what you're telling them, or are they like, no, I don't think I need that, or what's the reactions? What do you feel? What do you think about that?
Well, the whole thing with coaching is I don't tell them anything, because giving advice is kind of the worst thing you can do, because my life is different from their life, and what works for me doesn't work for them, and vice versa. So telling them things to do doesn't work, never. What I do as a coach is, by asking questions, I take you through your brains and show you different pieces of your brain where you might have never come, or which you have been escaping a lot, and you now have to really start thinking about, or you get different insights from different points of view, which really helps you to get a better perspective on what's going on and how you interpret all those things. And I believe you can only create change if the person itself sees the value of it. If I tell the person like, hey, you really have to stop doing drugs, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
Will he stop? Probably not. But he does stop once he sees it for himself, like, okay, this is not a long-term plan, you know, like this is going to kill me somewhere along the way. But you need to see it by yourself. And by what I do with coaching is asking people questions to guide them through that insight. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the thing is that the clients that I help, the artists that I help, most of them probably aren't even aware of what's happening. as in I'm just asking questions. That's all I do.
Yeah.
But it all happens in their brain. And by the end of it, once they've experienced it and once they see the value of it, once they have some sort of personal growth as a person, not as an artist, but as a person,
Yeah.
that's when they see the value of it. Like, holy shit, I've been doing this all my life, and it took me a lot of energy and time, while I can do it on a different way as well.
Mm.
Sounds so easy, but it's pretty tough to change your personal like your habits and stuff.
Yeah. I understand. No, I mean, you help them to reflect about themselves.
As well, yeah, I
You
different kinds of
encourage
things.
them.
Yeah, different kind of things. It depends on what the artist is in need for, you know. If it's a bigger artist, for example, like your kind of level artist, it needs a different kind of coaching from an aspiring artist, because an aspiring artist still needs to get there, and it has different challenges and different kinds of stress or different kinds of problems.
Yeah.
And for you, it might be more like stress related or balancing life, private and work life, while for an aspiring artist, it's more like, how can I get there as quick as possible? You know, different kind of questions, different kinds of way to help them. But yeah, it's been really, really well, actually. I really like what I'm doing now.
Yeah. I mean, you found your way, and I don't know anybody else who does this kind of thing, right?
No, no, I mean, not the way that I do it. You know, you have mental coaches. There's a couple of them which I know, not too many as well.
Mhm.
But the thing what I do is I combine the experience of being an artist with the mental coaching. And
Yeah.
that's like, to me, the golden package, as in, yeah, that really helps a lot of artists.
And you went through it yourself. That's, I think,
Yeah, the experience part, yeah, that really helps a lot of artists, because what I noticed myself as well when I went to the psychologist, they just don't understand you. They don't understand your life. And that's
ah,
what I've been hearing from a lot of artists, which are my clients now, but
yeah.
also have been to a psychologist first. They
Okay.
also say, like, somehow those people don't understand me, because the life that we have as a bigger artist, it's so crazy, and there's so many weird things going on that the people just don't understand it. And with me, like, you don't have to explain to me how the world works, the music industry works, and that helps them a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a very common problem. Even my friends or the people who surround me, of course, my family members not, but many friends don't really understand what it
No.
means to be a producer and a DJ. In the beginning, everybody sees, ah, you're playing on a big stage. They see my
Mm.
videos. You're drinking free champagne, and I said, yeah, that's only a very small part of the
Yeah.
whole thing. I mean, you have to work a lot to get there. And it's not like that I'm in the studio like playing my piano for 5 hours and then I got a hit and then I got booked. You know, like
Yeah.
it's so much more. And so it's really hard for people outside this industry to understand what we are actually doing, how much little details we have to take care of. It's like,
Yeah.
of course, it's the production. It's working on music and creating music, and but then it's also like the marketing aspect, which changed a lot within the past 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Instagram wasn't there 10 years ago. I had to grow into this,
Yeah.
and the mechanisms. It's not only posting a nice picture of yourself and then everything's fine, but you have to take into consideration how these social media work and interact, how you interact with other people. Then you have maybe a manager, you have maybe an agency, you want to, let's say, get booked, you want to have your first show. How do I get there? Who do I have to contact in this business? How does actually communication work in this business? It's
Yeah.
also a thing you have to really have to learn. A communication between artists, communication with fans, communication online or live. You know, there's so many aspects, and as you said, like and the lifestyle, the whole thing is something which is really not easy to understand if you're not in that business. And
Yeah.
I can totally understand when you say that even a psychologist, you have to explain a lot in the beginning
Yeah, exactly.
what you actually are doing and how this impacts your thinking and your body and your whole psychological situation. Yeah, and I mean, I've been thinking about this really a lot within the past years because, of course, when you look back, and when I look back on my career and I look into the future, and what did I do? What did I achieve? What do I want to achieve? What's the next steps? What's my future? Because it just doesn't stop at some point. You
No.
want to continue. And for example, I myself, I decided that I want to continue with the music business, but not as a DJ when I'm 60 or whatever. I want to just be in that business on a different level. And I decided to create or to start an online business with it, which I just did. And I'm super happy about
What kind of online business is it?
So actually, I launched a company. It's called Xound.com, and together with a partner. And Xound.com is, or the goal is to create a platform for music producers where they can find actually everything they need from the beginning until the end of production. So we have different modules, and the modules are, for example, sample packs and presets. One module is we sell templates like for songs. Another module is video tutorials. So I will start doing my own video tutorials very soon, and you can buy them online, and you can book courses or whatever. And then we will do coaching, means direct one-to-one music coaching. You can a producer can talk to me for a certain amount of time, and I will help him or her like achieving or creating, or you're finishing a production. For example, someone says, okay, I have this idea and I have this demo, but I don't know how to finalize it. Then they can book my coaching service, and I will help them online via live Skypes, for example, or with email, or with sending back and forth music to create that or to finish that track. I will teach them, I will consult them, I will help them with the production. And then we will also do workshops, real live workshops, where we start traveling throughout the world, like I've done before for masterclasses. So we will actually do our own masterclasses with people like me, teaching people. We will have different kind of like people from the industry, DJs like me, producers like me. A lot of friends are already on board, and then we have people from the industry, let's say from Universal Music or from other companies, or maybe people like you who join us and do workshops with small groups of people, 20 people maybe, or 15 live workshops where we get together for 3 days and we talk in depth about production. So and this platform concept is like all these modules fit together. So you can, let's say, if you want to start a production, you can get the sample packs. I just released one 3 weeks ago. It's all about progressive house, and it's like a typical sample preset pack, but it's my signature sound. The second one is coming out in 2 weeks, and we have like 10 more in the making already. So we build on this platform easily. And then we also do plugins. I will release my first plugin. I worked together with a company end of August.
Okay. What kind of plugin is it? Or can't you tell?
It's a kind of like a elevated drum machine for progressive house music. And I created all the sounds. I created all the drum sounds, and I put them together. I created the loops. And it's kind of like it's called Beatmaker. And it's a company called UGEM, and we just finished it, and it's, as I said, it's coming out end of the month, and we will partner with them. We have kind of like a friends and partner program with them, so we will develop more plugins. Even there will be Thomas Gold signature plugins, and all these things, they are under the hood of this Xound.com platform, and we want to bring in people, for you, for example, to partner with us. Like, so we do stuff in exchange. We can help people achieving what you are doing as well. Like, for me, it's more from the production side, from the technical side, and because I know there's a lack of that, and many people ask me for help, for tutorials, for coaching, and I think this is. And I really like to do that. As you can see, I like talking. And I don't have a problem showing people how I achieve my sound, for example, how I create my things. I don't want to keep them to myself, these whatever secrets or techniques.
I don't believe there are any secrets anymore, you know. Everything's out there on the internet. So if you want to know something, you can find it. It's just that you need to know what to do and how to implement it, you know. And Giving away your secrets, I don't really believe that anymore. Like,
Yeah, it's not a. The thing is, even if you give them all the stuff you have in one production, it always for the next production you have to change that stuff.
Yeah.
I would always say every track has its own law. You know, like how the sound, the mastering has to be set up and everything. So this is more about like understanding how something works instead of like copy pasting it. And yeah, and instead of when I'm let's say when I want to reduce my traveling a little bit, and I would rather work from my studio and not being at nightclubs on stages. I would rather create this community, and we are already talking to a lot of people, and there's a lot of like interest because I think this is a good thing. As you said, you are helping young people understanding this business and not getting like too much into it because it can actually destroy you.
It's more like understanding this business, but also understanding themselves, like people. You know, like who are you as a person and how can you fit into this industry and be happy with it?
Yeah. And many people don't know about what you really need to know. As you said, young people, you're 20, you see, okay, these guys are playing Tomorrowland. I want to play on Tomorrowland. What do I have to do? It's not that simple, you know. There's a lot of like steps and
a lot of steps.
I would that's one of my goals for the future, just to create something where I can get in touch with people. And for example, with my label Fanfare Records, I talk to almost every of the artists directly, personally. I help them finishing their tracks. I got involved in a lot of the releases. Sometimes we call it Thomas Gold Edit when I did a lot of stuff to an edit, but sometimes my name wouldn't even show up there, but I was still on the production. And that was also one of the reasons why I created Sound.com, because I felt like, okay, I like doing this. I like getting in touch with people. They sent me a track and I think I tell them, okay, this is 90% there. Can you do this? I don't tell what to do. I just give some ideas, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
I say, I would maybe try this and let's try this. And then they send it back to me and we decide together. And this is a thing I really enjoy doing. And it's something for the future I want to do. Yeah.
Sounds amazing, man. I'm just wondering here, but is this something that has always or has been on your mind for like a year or longer, or did it started because of the whole COVID thing and you were sitting at home and thinking like, hey, reflecting again, like, hey, how am I going to pursue it in the upcoming 5 to 10 years?
It has been in my head for a long time already.
Okay.
Like doing tutorials for myself, but I was always like, okay, I'm traveling, I'm producing, I have to produce my own musical content. I can't actually do it myself, because what I now did is I set up a whole company. We created the whole company, and this is not just like producing a sample pack and then putting it online. We have to do a lot of other stuff. And COVID was actually the point where I got forced to stay at home. And I took this as an opportunity, and kind of like, I wouldn't say I'm happy or I'm grateful, but because COVID is too bad to be grateful for it. But for me personally, I was at that point where I said, okay, now I'm going to do it. Now is the time. I'm going to make the best out of it. I'm going to take advantage of this whole crisis, because I actually lost all my bookings, like many other DJs out there and artists. I lost all my income from one day to the other. I remember when it happened, like within 5 days, all my shows got canceled.
It's crazy.
I had like 15 shows lined up for the next 6-8 weeks. They all got canceled. So all the money wasn't there. So I had to think about what's going to happen, and of course we got a little bit of money on my savings, but it's too risky to just trust in that, and you have a life after COVID. So what's going to happen? We don't even know if I'm ever going to play again in clubs within the next 1-2 years. As you can see, Australia shutting down again. China, the clubs are open. I spoke to a DJ over there last week, but they won't let us in. But in America, it's still like super crazy. Europe it's going up and down. So no one knows what's really going to happen. And in the first 2 months of COVID, maybe we thought, oh, we still have hope. So it's the end of the year, everything's going to be as normal, but it obviously is not. So I took that opportunity. We created the company. We set up everything. I even programmed the website myself. You know, it's all my own work. So I got really into that, and the whole marketing concept. We worked on that. We did the video shoots. We did them. I got some video equipment. I learned how to shoot videos myself. So that was the time. Before that, I did video tutorials for Fader Pro, for example, or I did master classes for Revealed. But now I want to do it myself, you know. I want to do it all myself, and the time was right for me. And as you mentioned, it's been in my head for such a long time. And I remember in March, April, I sat down, I wrote a business plan. It's like 50 pages of business plan of what I want to do. How should it look like? What's the goal in 5 years? What's the goal in 10 years? You know, and how will I start? And we did it, and we started it mid of July, so it's a month old, and I'm super happy about the start, how everything went, and we're getting really into it now. So the next couple of weeks is all about that company being like expanded and putting on all the modules I mentioned before. Yeah. But I took the opportunity to actually realize my vision.
Yeah, sounds amazing. You know, like in most cases, I think a lot of people had that with COVID. You had all in just one day, you had all the time of the world. So you had time to work on other things that were on your list for like a long period of time. So I think it's great that you've done this, and I also think that it's smart from you to create different forms of income, because I believe that many artists are focusing way too much on gigs, and now they're kind of experiencing how bad it is to focus on one part of income. Like creating diversity as a company is smart in general.
And also I realized that because in the beginning everybody started creating music like crazy. Like, okay, I'm gonna put out 15 tracks in the next couple of months. Yeah. Because I don't travel, so at least I want to produce content. But the thing is that making money, earning money, or money for a living with just putting out club and dance music doesn't really work. It's really like it's very risky, you know. You cannot actually rely on that. So if you make music, and you can, of course, everybody started making music or doing live streams. I did the same. I spent a lot of time getting my equipment for the live streams. I streamed live, but then I was like, okay, this is not paying my bills, you know. A live stream is a nice thing, but it takes a while to set it up, and I mean, you might stream 60 minutes, but before and after, you have time to prepare it, you have time to set it up, it's like a lot of work involved. And then the same with producing music. I have a lot of music produced now, and I have so much music that actually I spoke to my manager yesterday. We will reduce my output because we had so much stuff lined up on different labels. I have tracks coming up on Revealed, on Protocol, on Dharma, we're talking to Spinning right now. I have collabs coming up, and it's so much stuff.
It actually was a question on my list, because I prepared a couple of questions, and one of those questions was, you release a lot of music. Is there a reason for the amount of it?
I mean, just because I had a lot of time and I wanted to release a lot of music, but you have to be careful, because I want every track I release to live out there. I just don't want to like put it out, make quantity instead of quality. I mean, these tracks I put out, in my opinion, they're all quality, but still, you lose focus on tracks.
Yeah.
And I cannot even talk and promote these tracks by myself. I'm not playing, you know. And then if you release, and I have my label where I promote music of other people as well. So but we had so many good ideas and collabs coming up and in the pipeline right now. So we are actually scheduling everything right now. So maybe it's going to be one track every 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah. But still, there's a lot of stuff which cannot be released. And it's not that you release 10 tracks and then you make 10 times the money. It's not like that. It doesn't work like that. So it's a different game. And I realized that you rather put out not too much, you focus on that, and then in the meantime, I focus on my other business. As you said, creating multiple sources of income. Yeah. And this is also like a digital business I'm founding now. It's like the live workshops are kind of like analog, but all the rest is digital coaching, digital selling, and a digital community. So this is something which is not dependent of any crisis, of any travel restrictions. And of course, this is also like my personal feedback. to the crisis. Okay, here you go. I cannot travel, so I do the stuff which I'm doing outside my studio. I'm doing it from my own studio now.
Yeah.
I can create all this content here, and my partner, he's in Berlin. We can sit together. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
Even if you can't travel, apart from the live workshops, we can do everything from here, and we can bring it to the people everywhere in the world, and it's super nice, and we're getting a lot of feedback, and so I'm not dependent from the shows anymore. I mean, the business is small. It's very small because we're just started.
Yeah, but it's like growing in the upcoming months, years, you know.
So in 3 years from now, it can be a source of income for me, like the main source of my income.
Yeah.
Plus the shows, plus what's coming in from the streams, from the music. But it's more like a diversity, and so I kind of like I don't have one thing which is very risky, you know.
Less reliable, yeah.
Exactly.
Listen, I know you have to go in a couple of minutes, so there's one question that I'd like to ask you. What's the number one thing you struggled with as an aspiring artist, and how did you overcome it?
The number one thing I struggled. I mean, first of all, it was getting attention of bigger names, of bigger producers, of the labels. And
how did you overcome that? Like, how did you manage to get that attention?
I remember when I started the Thomas Gold name, I put out a lot of music. I did a lot of I had my personal contacts to people in the industry. So they were asking me for remixes, for productions, and I put out a lot of stuff. But it was more quantity than quality at that point. So I didn't get the attention of bigger DJs, which was my goal, to get into that kind of like machinery, you know, like the industry. So I got plays from a lot of radio jockeys, and smaller DJs were supporting me, but it was still not like there were no shows happening. I had friends who booked me to some friends shows or friends clubs. So I was like, okay, I have to focus on certain things, and I reduced the number of output. So that meant I made less money at that point, because I actually made my living by selling remixes and doing productions for other people, and in a high amount. But then I was like, okay, if you want to go to be on X-Tone, on Size, which were my favorite labels at that point, I have to produce like they sound. And I started working on tracks similar to that sound. I started to learn that sound. I started to focus, not, okay, I just want to have a track out, I want to have a big hit. I started to focus on a smaller thing. Okay, that kind of progressive house sound.
One genre, yeah.
One genre, yeah. And then I started, I produced Agora in that time, which got signed by Size. And at that time...
was around the time when I get to know you as well, like Sing to Me and Agora, and
It was Agora, then I got the interest, after Agora on Size, of course I got the interest from X-Tone, so that's why they spoke to me. They talked to me at 80, hey, you released Agora on Steve's label, would you like to do, we have a remix here, Blow Up Hard Rock Sofa, would you like to do that? And then that was the same time I played Sing to Me, and that was that was the point where I came over that point of like my entry into the bigger industry market, like the big labels, the big names, and then I got the attention of course Steve Angelo, of Axwell, and they started managing me. So that was the entry point for me into. I got the door open.
Yeah. So you overcame it by focusing more, especially on one genre, and quality instead of quantity.
Exactly, and working hard. I really worked on a lot of stuff, and I had to learn to produce. At that time, there were no tutorials online. It wasn't like now you can type in, how do I get this sound? Can I make this track? You can just copy paste those settings, and which is not always like the best help, but it can help you getting better, getting your sound better. How do I create a good kick? How do I mix my kicks? At that time, I remember my kick sounded awful. Oh my God, I couldn't even listen in clubs to my kicks because the sub end was just crap. But I had a bunch of people I could talk to, and that was also at the time when I worked as a freelancer. So I went to ask these people for help. Hey, can you help me? And it's not easy to get help from people when they are busy themselves, you know. Yeah. But at least I could get some sneaks, and I could learn from just watching them, looking over their shoulder, like asking them direct questions. How would you achieve this? And so I try to teach myself a lot, and just to get my sound 100%. You know, I get a lot of demos nowadays, and for fanfare, you know, I get like, I would say 80 demos a week, and the sound quality is not bad at all. I mean, 10% are not good, but 90% of the sound quality is good.
Yeah.
What's lacking, and this is a problem still within the people, they always copy what's going on, what's absolutely what the next hit, you know. And you get a lot of copy paste stuff, and no one, of course not, no label is looking for this kind of stuff. What labels are looking for is sound which fits to their label, which is maybe similar to what they're doing, but which has something new.
Yeah.
It was the same with X-Tone at that time, size, and now it's maybe hexagon, it's stamped. You can if you fanfare the same. We all have a kind of like a certain sound, and the sound has to fit to the label if you want to get onto that label. Spinning is maybe too big, but if you want to get on Musical Freedom, you have to listen to 20 tracks on Musical Freedom. How do they sound? What could they like? You know, it doesn't even mean you get signed by them if you hit that sound. They also have to, Tiesto has to like that sound.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's the same with Revealed. You have to be careful because Revealed is getting a lot of demos which all sound the same. They told me, I know the A&R is a good friend of mine, and he said, like, we're getting so much good stuff, but we have to pick the cherries. We have to pick 8 tracks out of 100 each month, or even, you know, so it's a lot of like trial and error. You have to be patient, you have to be passionate about what you're doing, and you have to focus. That would, for nowadays, would be my advice, you know, like pick one thing you really want to achieve, and don't try to just throw stuff at the wall and send it to 20 labels.
Yeah.
Just try to hit a certain kind of sound, and then try to make your way through the A&Rs, through the promotion sites and website and everything. Yeah, it's not easy nowadays. I know, because it's there's so many people out there who make good music, you know. I can hear it on my fanfare level. Even we have to pick stuff because there's so much.
Yeah.
So you have to be consistently improving yourself, focusing on one certain goal you want to achieve, and then maybe you have a good chance to achieve things.
Yeah. Great. I want to thank you for your time and all the wise tips and tricks and experiences that you gave in the last couple of hours, well, the last hour. Yeah, cool. Best of luck with the new company, and hopefully you'll get back on tour, hopefully soon somewhere.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Let's see.
Fingers crossed, exactly. But thanks again, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
No worries.
And yeah, good luck for your business. I think it's a good thing, and especially right now in these hard times, it totally makes sense. Good stuff, man.
Thank you, man.
Okay.
Have a great day.